On a fresh autumn morning, a group of ex-players gather at the edge of the Peak District. Walking's Brilliant is the brainchild of Mark Crossley, who lost his job as Chesterfield goalkeeper coach 3 years ago.
I just started walking. My mate said to me, you're not yourself, not your usual bubbly self. Come out and have a walk with us, like. And I did, and we went about 5 miles. I absolutely loved it. I never walked 5 miles. I've never walked out of penalty area before, but I knew that some of the lads, some good friends in football, that had been quite open about their own issues after coming out of the game as well. And I thought, this is an opportunity for us all to get together, help each other, stay in contact. And on the way doing that, we can set up this charity, which we have. We're called Watch, which is Walking and Talking Charity Hikes. Hashtag Walking's Brilliant for social media. And we've raised over £100,000 and we've made 11 donations to small mental health charities. So not only are we really proud of what we're doing and what we're achieving, the main thing is it helps all us and we all get together and we're not ashamed to speak about our issues.
Chris Kirkland is recovering from years of addiction to painkillers.
It wasn't until 2012 when I changed routine, went to Sheffield Wednesday. I was away from home a lot, travelling long hours in the car on my own, and yeah, that's where my anxiety really came along. And obviously, it's only just come out. 5 months ago, I was using painkillers to cope with. Yes, the back was sore, but also with the anxiety of travelling away and from home and being away and missing. Like people say, well, you're back home and stuff, but it was missing school plays, it was missing pickups from school, it was missing drop-offs. All the stuff that's really important to us was suddenly gone, and obviously I got silly involved with painkillers, and which for 10 years not just only affected my life but everybody around it.
And is it something you're constantly aware of, that you've got to keep an eye on? Is it an ongoing thing you manage, like
every day?
Mental health,
Every day, yeah. Especially with the addiction side of things. It was 5 months yesterday. 18th of April was the day when I said, look, I need help. I'm addicted to painkillers. So it's an everyday thing. My wife's, we've set things up now, and I should have done it when I went away in rehab 2019. They told me to set things up, because when you go to rehab, it's like a bubble. Right. And when you come out that bubble and back into the real world, that's when people can lapse and relapse. So I didn't set things up like telling friends, nobody knew. Didn't set things up at home, drug tests, which we have at home now. My wife's got drug tests, she can test me every day if she wants. Yeah. So that's a big, but people knowing and also being a weight off my shoulders that yes, I was addicted to tramadol, to opiates, but I'm fighting back now. But it's a day-to-day thing, but keeping busy again with that sort of stuff and having a routine and a structure is vital.
I struggled with when I was at Cardiff, been away from my little boy, and football was horrendous. But whenever I came north, I was fine. So as I say, I've been quite lucky. When I've come out of football, what I'm doing with the podcast, I don't miss football at all. So I'm one of the fortunate ones, I think, where I've been lucky enough to get into something that I enjoy, that you can still have the crack and the banter. So as I say, I'm very fortunate. But the amount of lads we interview on the podcast, not just to bring it up, but the amount of lads who tell us stuff that they're not told other people, it's outrageous. Lads who you never knew struggled. So it's an eye-opener. I
think that's been one of the successes of your podcast, is that you've managed to get footballers to open up in a way that's really surprised a lot of people. And there's clearly been a lot of issues out there for a long time, haven't there? But maybe they've always just been under the surface.
Well, I think it's changed. I think with the stigma of it's changed. If someone is struggling, it's not seen as a weakness anymore, whereas back in the day it would have been. And as you say, some lads has really opened up. I think it's the atmosphere that we do it in helps, that we just do it in a relaxed pub, having a drink, just like four pals chatting. And some of the stories that we've been told by ex-players has been quite eye-opening, really.
Even if you wake up in the morning, you know that you're going out for a walk with the lads, and you feel a bit down, you just say, look, I'm not feeling great today. And as you say, have a bit of a cry and talk, and the lads give you a cuddle. It's not very often Jerry Taggart gives me a cuddle, but he was to kick me a few times. But no, it's just very rewarding, and not just the players. There's comedians, because obviously half of us on the after dinner circuit speaking, and the comedians come along.
Well, being a live individual, I think walking was perfect for me. So what about you, Lee?
Well, it all started in lockdown for me. Obviously, with no work, everything just went off a cliff edge. It wasn't like a slope off, and you were just no gigs whatsoever. And Norm got in touch and said how this walking helped him and what have you, getting out and about, clears your head. And sent me stats of what happens after 5 minutes. Your blood pressure drops, and then after half an hour you start burning calories. And so I came over and did a couple of walks with him, and then it just grew, didn't it? All the rest of the lads, a few at comics and a few ex-football. It just grew from there.
Well, like you say, the lockdown thing was horrendous. I mean, I'm working week in, week out, and then doing nothing for nearly 18 months. Your head's gone anyway.
And do people expect comedians to be constantly smiling?
Yeah,
and
all the
constantly
time.
on top, but it's not like that.
All the
I
time.
used to get that. What have you got to be miserable about? You know, you're a comedian. It's not as simple as that, is
The
it?
best thing, and it was, is he always funny at home?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
mate.
yeah.
I come down with big shoes and flower that squirts water. That's what I do. Yeah.
Dressing rooms can be the best places for footballers, but they can also create problems around opening up.
Especially footballers of our generation, they're either stubborn, thick, or a mixture of the both, and pride, a bit of pride as well in there as well, and and they try and cover up any sort of deficiency that they have mentally, and the lads will all tell you the same.
The fear of managers not picking you or not giving you contracts because you've shown weakness, even though it's not a weakness. I think that's played on a lot of people's minds, and it's a horrendous industry to be in, really. Most of the time you fail. If you don't win the league or get promoted, you've had a bang average season. So, as I said, it's definitely changing, but it needs to change even more, I think.
Was there a hurdle to get over to speak initially and sort of talk about these issues?
Not really, no, because we're all the group that's together. Me personally, just through the blogs, I was telling people I was struggling, and I think when I look back now to the beginning, when I started to struggle with anxiety was the main problem, and although it's silly really, because I wanted to, well, not silly, it's not silly, I wanted to have a break from the game anyway.
Right.
I wanted to spend a bit more family time. That's the reason I came out of, I was going to come out of coaching for a while, but as it happened, we got the sack at Chesterfield January the 2nd, and it made my mind up for me. But just when it happened, like football, I think it trains your brain.
Yes.
Because you're told what time to be up, what time training is, what time's breakfast, what time's lunch, what time you're eating, what time you got to go to bed, what time the coach is leaving, then Saturday's gone, and then you're preparing the same again for Tuesday, and everything's a structure, everything's in place there.
Yeah.
And once it goes,
There's a void, isn't there? Then?
there's a void, and 35 years of brain training like that, from being told what to do as a player and then being an organiser as a coach, and suddenly it goes overnight.
The first few months is great, where you just think you can just lie in bed all day, but then after that, your mind's taking over. How do you fill your day? How do you keep yourself busy? And that's the hardest bit for ex-professionals.
For 2 or 3 weeks, I didn't come out of the bedroom.
Wow.
It's just like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And because I didn't have the answers. I got no answers of what I was going to do. There's little bits of working around, and Gary Speed was a really good friend of mine as well. And when I come out of the game and you see people suffering from depression, whether it's gambling or addiction, alcohol addiction, it can be anything, finance problems, then I start to think about some of the lads that I coached at Notts County and Chesterfield on 1-year contracts, not knowing where the next one's coming from, and they can't pay the mortgages. And I come across a lot of players that suffer mentally through that reason as well, so I try and help them as well now.
Thousands of pounds have been raised through their sponsored walks for several charities, with a trek to Kilimanjaro in the pipeline. Are these mental health charities close to your heart, or areas that you've identified that are in real need?
No, so what we did when we first got together, we thought, shall we just use one large mental health charity? But there was a group of 14 of us to start with, and we decided that when we did some fundraising and when we were donating, we wanted to see where the money was going.
Yeah.
So we don't make big donations, we make small donations.
Right.
So an example, we've got Nigel Jempson, part of our group. He's not with us today, but he does a lot of work for Forever Stars in Nottingham, which deals with aftercare for brothers, sisters, mums and dads that have lost children at stillborn, so we kitted their officers out, so it's all that type of thing. So we've made 11 so far. Me being from Barnsley, I used a community programme in Barnsley, a sporting programme, and we bought them 15 bikes. So when you hand them over and you see the look on the faces of people that have like literally got nothing, just a bike, and how it helps them. So again, we know where the money's gone. It's gone to them bikes. So we're up to 11 donations so far, and they're all linked, like Dean Windas's in Hull. So what we're trying to do is support our local communities, because we're from all over the country, the lads, and we just bought a minibus for aftercare for brain tumour patients, which when parents have not got transport to get to hospital to go and see the children, the minibus is there and takes them, brings them back. So again, it's all linked to mental health. So that's basically, Johnny, that's what we're about, that's what we do.
My biggest problem is I don't like being on my own. So
My biggest problem is I don't like being with him.
You'll see him, I can make them all scatter when I'm here. Not him again. But it is, that's it. So when I come here, you know, and this is the beauty of it, is what, I don't know, there's 15 of us here today or whatever, but different conversation. And all of a sudden, because sometimes when I go for a walk, after half an hour I'm bored. So that's what I say. Now you can spend an hour, 2, 3, 4 hours, as much as you want, and it makes a difference.
It can be one little thing that triggers that anxiety, that depression, and if you're not very good at dealing with it and you don't get help, then it can escalate, and you know, it can really, really affect you. So what we're together for is if you want to speak, ring us. We're not doctors, but we can say what's helped us, and we can maybe, you know, exercise, release endorphins and all them kind of things, and music. You know, I often, if I'm walking along a long way and I start to overthink, because I'm a massive overthinker, worry about other people and not myself sometimes too much, and so that's when the earphones go in, get the music on, listen to some music, and carry on the walk and rejig.
We really do support each other, and we become even, you know, we knew each other through football, but now we know each other. You know, we really know each other now, and we're all really good friends, and whenever we have days like this, we really look forward to them.